What really made Taehyung break down after seeing Jungkook with that mysterious woman? And why did ARMY burst into tears the moment he spoke? Before you continue reading, don't forget to like, comment your thoughts and subscribe because you won't believe the truth hidden behind tonight's shocking confession. What really happened last night? And why did Taehyung finally decide to break his silence after days of unbearable speculation that left millions of ARMY trembling in confusion? What truth was so heavy that even he, someone known for his calm restraint and gentle manner, could no longer hold it inside? The moment those first trembling words escaped his lips, the world froze, comments exploded, and fans everywhere felt their hearts shatter piece by piece. Because this wasn't just a statement, it wasn't just a clarification, it wasn't even just a confession. This was the moment Taehyung allowed the world to see the side of him that had remained hidden for far too long. The vulnerable, terrified, painfully honest side that only appeared when someone he cared about more deeply than words could ever capture was hurting. Or worse, slipping away. But who was the woman that Jungkook was seen with? And why did that single sight break Taehyung in ways he never expected? Why did ARMY cry the moment they heard him speak? And why does everything about tonight feel like a turning point, the kind that no one, not even the most imaginative fan or speculative commentator, ever saw coming? These questions linger like smoke in the air, impossible to ignore, impossible to disperse, because the truth behind them is heavier than a rumor, heavier than a headline, and heavier than any drama that has surrounded BTS in the past. The truth is emotional, complicated, and deeply tied to a bond that has long been admired, but whose depth no one truly understood until now. It all began with a single blurry video, filmed by someone who didn't even realize what they had captured until the internet turned it into a viral storm. Jungkook stepping out of a dimly lit venue, his hood pulled low, his face tired yet soft, and beside him, walking close enough to ignite 1,000 theories, was a woman. A shadow at first, a whisper, a silhouette that no one could identify. And yet that was enough. Enough to send ARMY into chaos. Enough to make headlines erupt. Enough to create a narrative filled with panic, heartbreak, betrayal, and confusion. But none of those reactions came close to what happened behind the scenes, where Taehyung sat staring at the same video, replaying it in silence, eyes trembling with something far more complicated than jealousy or anger. Because for Taehyung, this wasn't about rumors. It wasn't about fan wars. It wasn't even about scandal. It was about Jungkook, his Jungkook, the person he had protected for years, laughed with, cried with, grown with, and the terrifying possibility that Jungkook was hurting in ways he hadn't noticed. That something had pushed him to leave that place alone, to walk into the night with someone who wasn't part of their circle, someone who wasn't supposed to be there. Was she a friend? A staff member? A colleague? A stranger? Taehyung didn't know. And the not knowing tore him apart. The moment the video spread, Taehyung's phone buzzed endlessly with messages, managers, friends, even Jungkook himself sending short reassurances like, "Hyung, don't worry," and "I'll explain later." But the explanations didn't come, and the silence between them, normally comfortable, felt like a canyon widening by the minute. Taehyung couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, couldn't think about anything except the possibility that Jungkook was distancing himself, drifting, slipping from a place in Taehyung's life where he had always belonged. Later that night, as fans continued to speculate, argue, theorize, and panic, Taehyung found himself alone in the practice room, a space that had once been filled with laughter and shared memories but now echoed with cold, empty silence. His hands trembled as he pressed play on the video again. There was no expression on Jungkook's face that suggested anger or sadness, but Taehyung knew him better than anyone. And what he saw was unmistakable. Jungkook was exhausted, not physically but emotionally. And the moment Taehyung realized that, something inside him cracked. He didn't cry then. Not yet. Those tears would come later, triggered by something far more powerful. Hours passed. Dawn crept in. And then finally, unexpectedly, Jungkook appeared at the door. Quiet, tired, hesitant, holding 2 cups of warm tea like he was trying to make peace with a situation neither of them understood yet. Taehyung didn't speak at first. He simply stared, long enough for Jungkook's expression to shift from confusion to worry, and then Jungkook spoke softly. "Hyung, it's not what you think." That was all it took. Not because Taehyung misunderstood the situation, not because he jumped to conclusions, but because those words, timid, careful, almost apologetic, revealed something Jungkook had been hiding. something he was scared to share, something that the world didn't see when they watched the video, but Taehyung saw immediately: pain. Jungkook was hurting, and the woman in the video, whoever she was, wasn't the cause of the pain. She was the result of it. The confession came slowly, piece by piece, like a fragile puzzle Jungkook was terrified to assemble. He said he needed air. He said he needed space. He said he didn't want anyone to worry. He said he had been carrying too much alone. The woman was just someone who happened to walk out at the same time. Nothing more, nothing less. A coincidence that spiraled into chaos, and the moment Taehyung heard that, not the explanation but the underlying loneliness, he broke. His voice cracked first, then his hands shook, then before he could stop himself, tears fell. Not because he was jealous, not because of the woman, but because he had failed to notice Jungkook's pain sooner. Because he realized the person he wanted to protect most had been struggling alone. ARMY didn't see this moment, not then. They didn't hear Taehyung's voice trembling as he whispered, "Why didn't you come to me?" They didn't see Jungkook's eyes soften with guilt and affection as he replied, "I didn't want to burden you." They didn't witness the silent embrace that followed, one so intense it felt like a promise, a reconnection, a healing. But they saw Taehyung hours later, when he finally addressed the situation publicly through a short, emotional livestream that was meant to calm the rumors, but instead made millions cry. He didn't start with clarifications or excuses. He didn't start with details. He started with a question that hit ARMY like a punch to the chest. Have you ever been so afraid of losing someone that your heart hurts before your mind even understands why? The moment he said that, the comments flooded with crying emojis, frantic messages, panicked questions. Taehyung smiled sadly, wiping at his eyes, confirming without confirming that everything he felt came from a place deeper than anyone had imagined. He said Jungkook was safe. He said the woman was irrelevant. He said what mattered was Jungkook's well-being. And then the moment that broke ARMY happened, when Taehyung admitted, voice shaking uncontrollably, "I cried because I care about him. More than you know." The rawness of his voice, the sincerity, the vulnerability. It was overwhelming. ARMY cried because Taehyung cried. They cried because they could feel the depth of his fear, his relief, his love. Not romantic, not possessive, but profound, loyal, irreplaceable. A bond years in the making, strengthened by storms, whispered promises, shared dreams. He ended the live stream with a message that completely shifted the narrative. Please protect Jungkook with your kindness, not pressure. He doesn't need judgment. He needs love. And with that, everything changed. But the story doesn't end there. Because after Taehyung spoke, Jungkook himself finally appeared, revealing the truth no one expected. Truth that explained everything, and yet opened a new wave of emotions fans weren't ready for. He admitted he had been overwhelmed, that expectations had piled up, that he felt lost in the noise of fame, responsibilities, and the weight of being everyone's strength. He said he didn't want anyone to worry because he felt like he was supposed to be the one people relied on, not the one who needed help. Then he said something that sent ARMY into another emotional spiral. When Taehyung cried, it made me realize I'm not alone. Those words, simple yet powerful, became the heart of the story. The reason behind everything. The truth that turned a scandal into a moment of healing and vulnerability. The woman was nothing. Passerby. Coincidence. But Taehyung's tears, those were real. Jungkook's pain real. Their bond unshakable. As the world listens, shares, comments, and reacts, one question continues to echo across timelines. If this is what the world saw tonight, what deeper stories have these two been carrying silently all along? And perhaps the real surprise, the real twist,